Woo indeed. Hello, world. Oh, man, what is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest is known for wearing a lot of hats, which I meant figuratively, but now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've seen him in a lot of literal ones as well. But seriously, he's an actor, of course, you know that about him. He's a filmmaker, a director, a painter, an author. He's got a children's book, Rumple Buttercup. And naturally, as an objectively handsome dude, he's done some modeling as well. Yes, we can whistle for that. The show you most likely recognize him from, Criminal Minds on CBS, it's just celebrated its 300th episode, is in its 14th season. Yes, applaud. It's amazing. Yet again, he's directed another installment for the series this year. The episode's called The Tall Man, and it airs on what better day? Halloween night, October 31st. Look, I could keep going with all the amazing stuff he's got going on, but I want to leave some actual time for us to sit down and talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Spencer Reid himself, the great Matthew Gray Gubler is here. How about that, huh? Yeah? I see your cell phones are poised. You're ready. He's going to be out here in just a second. I won't let you miss it. I promise, okay? We're going to bring him out in a moment, but before we do, I believe we have a peek at the show. So let's go ahead and let's run that clip.
This process is called eye movement desensitization and reconditioning. And all you have to do is focus on the movement of the metronome and the sound of our voices.
Okay, let's go back to the last thing you remember in his lair.
I don't want to.
Nothing bad's gonna happen to you, Allie. You're safe, okay? Where is it? He's here! He's here!
He's here! Allie, open your eyes and focus on the metronome. Now help us find your friends. Describe the room.
There's a door that he came through. It's like I'm in a tunnel or something. There's windows along the walls. But they're covered in this weird cloth.
Allie, what's on the ceiling?
Stars. But they're pink.
I know where they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, a ridiculous amount of noise, please. Matthew Gray.
I wanted to pop up and scare everybody like in that clip, like I was hiding behind her right there and I just came out. That was my intention.
That was your intended entrance?
Next time, my next.
Well, we're going to have you come back for that. Dude, congratulations. There are so many great things going on in your life right now.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so
Congratulations. You look great. I love your Donald Duck sweater. And
thank you.
yeah.
I love your Halloween sweater, your little
thank
pumpkin
you.
sweater. This is
Oh,
wonderful.
thanks.
I would expect nothing less. Actually, the one thing I was surprised by, I love this. You are perpetually ready for press. You have your own mug that you travel with.
Dude, I always
This
try to carry. It's funny. People think I drink a lot of coffee, which I guess technically I do, but it's more that I drink it so slowly. I've been drinking this coffee since last Thursday, and I sort of walk around. It's sort of like having a bottle nearby.
Do you, and is
A milk bottle.
Does it
not like
start?
yeah.
Do you start ice?
Which is infinitely weirder than if I said Jack Daniels, but I meant like, yeah, I don't know.
Somehow it is. Do you start iced knowing it's going to take so long for you to finish it, so there's no temperature?
I start piping hot.
Okay.
And then it eventually turns into like sort of a humid bog tasting coffee. And then it slows into the cooling coffee, which I like it all. I like all coffee.
I want to do 30 minutes just on your coffee drinking habits. If we can do that, I want to get into that. No, but I do mean sincerely congratulate, because like I said, you've got Rumple Buttercup on the way. The results are at #1 for the pre-orders, which is amazing. You've got your episode on Halloween.
It airs on Halloween.
This is unbelievable. 300 episodes in general. There's so many crazy things, and we're just mere weeks away, days away from Halloween. We are in peak Gubler season right now.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, probably. For me, peak Halloween season actually begins September 15th. And I've created a night, Gublerween, where for the last 4 or 5 years, I do something like maybe I dress up like a clown and I carry a candelabra and I knock on random friends' doors unexpectedly and try to scare them, and I usually hand them a pumpkin that welcomes the holiday season. So for me, it starts even earlier, but you're right, this is the prime the prime October season.
I am made of follow-up questions to that. So first of all, why the 15th?
You know, I always felt like Halloween doesn't last long enough. I'm sure some people agree with me in this audience.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to extend it, and it feels like middle of September is the perfect time.
Okay.
It's like the moment the air goes like 2 degrees cooler than summer, I'm already decorating.
I'm into that. I get that. Now, having established that it's that day every year, has it made it harder to scare your friends? Are they now expecting it? Oh, it's the 15th. Matthew's going to come knocking at around 11:35.
I change it up every year, and I find different friends that live further and further away. Initially, it started like, oh, anyone that lives within a 2-mile radius. Now it's like, I'll drive to Cincinnati to scare them. This year, I did up the ante. My best friend from junior high is an 8-year-old daughter. She really wanted to get involved with this. So we dressed her up, we put her in a black cloak with a mask I had made of my own face. And then we had her just holding a candle, going to people's doorsteps, and we were hiding in the bushes, the mom and I. And then the people were terrified because they don't expect to see, you know, a sort of child at their door at like 9 at night. And it was really, really spooky. I'll come to your house next. I ruined it. I'll do something different. Every year it changes.
Every year it's something different. Well, then I guess I can't really ask you what you had. Can I ask you what you did this year?
That was this year. That was
this
like
year.
2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago you did that. Okay, fantastic. I was so excited that you were coming in, man, especially not just to talk about the show, but I'm really excited for this book that you've been working on.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And all the art that's... Because I went down a rabbit hole very recently. You had tweeted out a link to your old Flash page that you had made by hand.
Yeah, that was the coolest. And now Flash is so outdated, and no one can even find that
They're
site.
like decommissioning it soon.
I'm
Like,
so
it won't
sad.
anymore.
No, I'm so. I wish. Yeah, but yeah.
So if people haven't seen that, I'm sure everyone in this room has because you tweeted it out. But I highly recommend seeking that out before you can't see Flash anymore because that's an achievement in and of itself. But then that led, of course, to just the never-ending scroll of all your art from over the years, which I was going through, and it made me really excited because you look at the design of Rumple Buttercup, and it's like I was curious, how long has this little character lived with you? How long have you wanted to tell this story?
That's a great question. You know, I've been working on it for a long time, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So while it's taken a long time, it never felt like a long time. And I thought about it 3 years ago, but I've been I stay rather busy with the show and a lot of other things. So I haven't been able to just like focus on it until about the last 6 months or a year. And I'm just so dang excited for it. It's very long. It's a 126-page kids book. And I don't even know that it necessarily is a kids book, but I'm so beyond excited for it.
And within the 126 pages, there's illustrations and things.
Oh yeah, every page is illustrated. It's also handwritten. It's basically, I found like the hardest and most tedious way to write a book, and I did that.
And you went for that.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really curious to see more of the art from it because one of the things I was thinking of too, looking at your older art, and also you see a lot of this in when you direct as well. You have this knack of like combining like a childlike innocence and whimsy with nightmare fuel. Like you put these two things together.
It's a great compliment. That's my dream in everything I do is I love dichotomies and to find that bridge is what I strive for.
And you're so damn good at it. Did you struggle at all finding that balance for a children's book? Like, you know, turning the dial in a certain direction. You know what I mean? Like,
it's so funny. It's so tricky because I love exactly what you said, and it's one of the reasons I love how I just noticed you're wearing mismatched socks. You're the coolest. It's one of the reasons I love Halloween as well. I think is that it's that beautiful dichotomy of like society taking what it fears the most and laughing at it and being like, haha, we aren't scared of you. We're making fun of this, and I like that like optimistic sentiment, and I'm lucky to get to do it. I realized I get to make a very scary Criminal Minds episode, and then a lot of deadlines were happening at the same time with the book and this episode, but I was going from that to like writing a book to hopefully inspire children, and I kind of think that those two are also intrinsically linked. This is gonna be a long-winded answer. I'm about to go down. I can feel myself going down. Like, long story short, the people that I think are the smartest and the most interesting are any person that's 8 years and younger or 78 years and older. And I think there's something to the fact that the closer we are to not existing, it's like the more genuine we are and the more sincere we are. And then in the middle, we get kind of like convoluted, we get stuck on like, oh, my mortgage and is my hair cool? And, and none of that stuff really matters. And so for me, Halloween has always been, and everything I try to make has been sort of like trying to appeal to that sense of wonder and magic, and Halloween itself is a holiday that glimpses into that other world of non-existence or magic. That was a weird that was like the longest.
No, I like that.
Please edit this to make me look very smart.
No,
yeah.
I love that because there is a parallel you're drawing there between like sort of the blissful ignorance of childhood of just like, I'm not ashamed, this is just the world to me and I enjoy all this and I'm experiencing everything. And then when you get older of just like not caring what anyone thinks anymore, like you return back to that, you see the bigger picture of like, oh, I was crazy to be worried about those things for all that
and
time.
nature does it too with like the trees. And one of the things I also love about this season is like how I've just turned this into a whole Halloween interview. I am wearing a
Was
pumpkin
there
sweater.
ever a doubt?
Okay. But you know, I love the fact that with nature, it's as the trees die, they become the most beautiful you've ever seen. And I think that's sort of an important lesson of life, of just not fearing aging and not fearing anything like that, and celebrating that moment when you burst into beautiful reds and oranges, and then maybe go on to the other side. I'm a big believer in ghosts too, and I've had a lot of ghost experiences.
I was gonna say, do you got like a top ghost experience that you've personally had?
I have so many that I don't even know.
Do you
what the
care
top
to
would
share
be.
one?
Here's the thing. I want to share one so bad, but I only tell them in the dark. And I love telling ghost stories so much that I've always been hesitant to like film them. I'll tell them to you guys after the interview if you want to turn the lights off. But yeah, I'm sorry to lead you and then sway you. But
no, you know what?
Bait and switch. I bait and switched you.
This is just, look, we are a live show, but this is a perfect case for people watching at home to get off your butts and come down to the studio.
Yes, please do.
You never know when Matthew Gray Gubler is going to give us an impromptu, in the dark reading or telling of a personal ghost story. What about aliens? Where do you fall on extraterrestrial stuff?
I believe in all of that
You
stuff.
have to.
I think it's foolish and it's sort of self-centered to think like there's all these planets out there, but we're the only ones that have people and are smart. And also, I'm going to blow your mind. You guys are about to think I'm really weird. I'm actually not crazy. Anyone that prefaces a statement, I'm going to turn this way now, that prefaces a statement saying they're not crazy is most definitely crazy. And why am I holding the microphone like it's
It looks
like it's porridge and I'm in like the 1910s? I'm like,
You're right, though.
I do believe in aliens. I heard an interesting theory. I know a lot more about ghosts than aliens.
That's fine.
But someone said something very fascinating. Aliens might just be humans that have evolved, as we've gotten smarter, our heads have gotten bigger, the sun eventually is burned out, so our eyes have gotten larger. We had to leave Earth. We're now living, so aliens are actually just time-traveling humans that are coming back to study early humans to figure out how to populate the future. That's kind of interesting, right?
It's pretty wild.
What do you think? That blew my mind when I heard it. I don't know if I believe it, but I believe everything.
We're
so.
applauding for the
All
time
right. Up front likes it. Right? Oh, good.
Got it.
I got it.
Well, we're going to do, all right, I originally wanted to do just the coffee. Now we're focusing 30 minutes.
I was so nervous for the first 7 minutes of that interview. Now I feel like I'm here.
Yeah.
I was fumbling. Now I'm cool. Start your TV record button now.
Got it.
Yeah.
We'll start the clock over. We'll go back to the beginning. And
I
we'll
also
pick 'em-
just woke up. I'm in New York. New York's my favorite city in the world, by the way. I love Las Vegas. That's my hometown also. I love every city. But I love New Orleans. New Orleans, New York. Sorry to... anyway. I'm on LA time, so I woke up like 10 minutes ago, just during this interview.
On your way to stage. Yeah, that's right. That's why you have your bag. Yeah.
Do you want to know what's in this bag?
I would love to. I was going to save that, but let's open the bag.
Sorry, man. This is the craziest interview. I've got... Thank you for that beautiful interview, by the way. That beautiful... It's over.
No, we're going to keep going.
No, thank you for the beautiful intro.
We lock the doors from the outside.
You
You're
mentioned
not going
hats.
anywhere.
I have a hat. It's very important to stay warm. You lose 90% of your body heat through your head and neck, ladies and germs. So wear a scarf. I've got some colored pencils. I've got, of course, a gourd. Want a gourd? Who wants a gourd? Wait, you right there. Wait. Oh, alien girl. Oh my gosh. What if I poked your eye out now? I would feel so bad. Thank you. Be careful with that. That's a long tip. Oh, don't worry about this. I don't want to show it to you guys because it's not the finished version, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the cover of my book, which is not, the color is not quite perfect yet, but just know it's in here.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. You can't show us the cover.
Wait, last.
Would you open up to a random page?
Funny thing, it's literally, I'll show you the back.
Show us the back?
It's only the cover.
This is an
Like,
exclusive.
This is it. Hope you guys like it. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Don't freeze frame that. Don't tell anyone don't tell Random House I showed that. That's top secret. Oh my gosh. Wait, I tweeted it. What am I saying? You guys already saw that. Also, walnuts, omega-3s, a journal, And last but not least, guys, I highly recommend, if you, like I'm talking to the microphone here, but it's actually, one of the finest works of literature in general, Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. Masterpiece of a book. If you love October and you love reading, you'll love this book.
Is that a book you find yourself going back to every October?
Yeah,
Is that like your October? Yeah, for sure.
Like every other October.
I'm going to ask you something that may be deeply personal. You could say no.
No.
Do you want? Okay.
Yes. No, yes. You want some of this?
Yeah, can I have some walnuts? No.
You want some?
That was my deeply personal question.
What's in here?
Could we take a peek inside?
Let me peek. I'm very shy.
Yeah, please.
I'm very shy.
Don't.
I got mismatched socks and an orange sweater, but I'm so shy. That's my impression of me. I look like Hilary Swank's corpse if it was dead for 3 days. I looked in the mirror. I love Hilary Swank. I get compared to her often by people. I look like if she passed away and they found her corpse 3 days later. That's what I look like. I'm lacking sleep. I just got over a cold.
But if you were going to be a celebrity corpse, you could start in a lot worse places than Hilary Swank. You know what I mean? Like
that's a great.
That's not a bad corpse to be.
Some little kid honestly came up to me and was like, "You're from the movie." I don't have anything here.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And thought that I was Hilary Swank. Like not too. That was a long time
They
ago.
thought
She was like, "You're from the movies," and I'm like, "Matter of fact, I am." And she's like, "Can I have an autograph?" And then as I was signing it, she said, "Boys don't cry," and I realized that she thought I was Hilary Swank. Yeah.
Were you weeping while you were signing?
I was just so happy. I was like, "Oh my gosh." That's very nice. That's a compliment.
I want to, God, I'm having a lot of fun, but there are some things I really want to ask you about. Specifically, so we mentioned that the episode you're directing is coming out on Halloween. We know that, we've established that. But the directing process in general, I'm really interested in, especially your perspective, because I had on the show a little while ago, Kevin Smith was here. He's done some episodes of Supergirl. I love Kevin Smith. He's so great. And he had a really interesting perspective on directing television. You know, he would walk into a show like that and he's like, look, it's a big machine and I get to do some stuff, but they already know how they work and you're there to kind of move things along. And I was thinking, you've been a part of this big machine since day one, so you know how to push it. You know the limits, right? So I wanted to know your side of directing this show that you've been a part of for so long and what that experience is like for you.
Hey, that's a great question. I feel so fortunate because I've been on the show since the pilot, and because I studied directing. That's why I came to LA, was to pursue that, and I got fortunate enough to become an actor, which gave me a whole other glimpse into that side. But because I've been on the show, and my hope, I've directed 13 episodes now, and my hope with every episode from the very beginning was to do something very, hopefully unique, and something that creates a special world that we haven't yet felt on the show. And whether that meant that I never get invited back to direct, I never let that concern me so much. And I've been very fortunate in that with like the great writers and the incredible crew that is like my family, we've been able to weave these, I think, fairly unique and different episodes that I've made, and the network, to my surprise, continually loves them. So I've done more and more and more and more, and I'm very blessed to have like, and I almost feel guilty saying this, but it's like they're so nurturing, and we're such a symbiotic family that I have like total creative control there, and like there's different ways to direct TV, and you can be a director that comes in and spends the bare minimum time of 8 days in prep, 8 days shooting, 4 days in post, or you can be a meticulous lunatic and it takes me like 2.5 months to direct an episode because I'm involved, the writers and I get together beforehand, before the story's even told, casting I'm already doing before the thing begins, and then like I literally just wrapped this episode with the composers and adjusting the sound and making sure the color timing was right like 3 days ago. So I put a lot of time and energy into it, but it's what I love, and I like to think that it sort of translates to screen, and I'm so excited. I love them all. It's funny. Everyone's always like, what's your favorite one of the 13? Every one of them is like a child to me, and I'm just so excited for this one.
I want to ask, you famously, you got to be an intern working with Wes, right? Wes Anderson. And like, Wes is one of those dudes where his creative vision, his artistic, there is no mistaking like his aesthetic and his style, right? And you get one of those every generation, maybe if we're lucky. And I feel very similar about like your artistic style in terms of how you draw, like the thin fingers, the use of the watercolor, all the different things that you do is very. I see a piece that you've done, I know you've done it. I saw the cover of your book, I knew that was your book, right? So I'm curious, when you watch someone like that work at that level, I know it was a while ago, but is there anything that you kind of retain to this day that you bring with you as a director, as an artist, when you're working on this show, when you're working on anything you direct?
Thank you. I'm gonna like cry. You're so sweet, man. This is the sweetest interview ever. Very kind of you to say. And of course, you know, he's my favorite living filmmaker. And when I went to school, literally right there, and when I was in film school, I interned for him and got to observe him. And then he was so kind to give me, you know, put me in the Life Aquatic and to also let me make a documentary about the making of the movie, where every day I just came to set with a video camera and got to film his process. Yeah, he's an angel, and he like also effectively turned me into it. Like I loved acting, but I never thought I would pursue it. And then thanks to him, I have like an acting career. And what I, you know, of course, picked up from him and from all the great filmmakers is just his unrelenting attention to detail and meticulousness. And I think with any art form, whether it's directing, painting, writing, I don't think it's worth doing it unless you have a very specific thing to say or a way that you can. Do something personal, and I think the world of him, and I'm so lucky to have worked for him.
I keep getting the signal that we've got 5 questions in the room. We are going to get to all 5 of them, and I'm going to throw to them in 1 second. I just have one last question. Hello, that I wanted to ask you because this happened very recently. Speaking of people with unique visions and specific artistic eyes, Jonathan Waters.
Oh, John Waters.
John Waters.
Yeah. I know.
He put you on the short
I
list.
know.
Of like people to play him.
Yeah, that's the dream. I really hope that happens. He's again one of my idols just for having such a unique voice and being, you know, he's the father of independent cinema to me, and I think to everyone. But the way that we look a lot alike, and when you look at him at my age, we're like spitting image. When I was on Criminal Minds, we were casting my father, and I implored them to cast John Waters. I reached out to him. He was very kind about wanting to do it. It didn't work out scheduling-wise, but we became friends from that. And then he once had me sort of MC this comedy show that he does as him, and we've been friends ever since. We've actually been in like 2 or 3 movies together, and I just, you know, he's like the king of everything cool and weird, and but so for him to say that, of course, is an absolute dream. I hope that movie happens.
I didn't. That would, man. Jane Lynch and John Waters. Can you imagine?
No, and they're friends in real life.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
The coolest people in the world.
Really
of course they are. All right, I promise I would never take away your time. 5 questions. First one, we're going to start right here, gentlemen.
Hi, Matthew.
Hey, what's up, dude?
It's a pleasure to speak to you. My mom and my sister and I have literally been watching your show probably since the beginning, so just congratulations on 300 episodes. We all love it, so just big with that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We actually also named my family dog after your character, Spencer Reid.
Oh my
big
gosh.
shout out to my dog.
That's awesome.
Yes, but my question is to you. This show has touched so many different people across the world. What is something that you learned by playing Spencer Reid, and something valuable that you think that you'll never be able to get back by playing this role?
It's a great question. I've played him for so long. You know, the show's been on the air so long that I wasn't even alive when it started. And I've... That's a weird one. I'm going to stick with that joke. I'm going to use that again somewhere. I'm going to word it better next time. But I know, it's funny. I look up to him in a weird way. Like, and I've learned... I don't know. I've tried to infuse him with just the belief that I have of like, if you always look for the good in everyone and everything, you'll find it. And that's something that I try to imbue in him, and that likewise he is imbued in me.
That was a perfect answer.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. We got a few more next questions right over here.
Hey, I like that lavender sweatshirt.
Oh, thank you. I love your sweater. It's much cooler than mine.
Oh, no, I don't know.
I have more of a fun question for you. If you could create, with your art, obviously, a tattoo for Spencer Reid, what tattoo would you create?
It would be a tramp stamp that says Zugzwang. Terrible. I know. No, it would not be that. But it would be the golden ratio. It would be something with a Fibonacci sequence or something, probably. That's a great question. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very excited for your book.
Oh, thank you so much.
We got another one coming. It looks like it's going to be right in the front row, blue couch.
Hi. I just want to say I've been watching the show since I was 10 years old, so I've literally grown up with it. Yeah. And I'm trying to be an actor, and you actually inspired me to start writing as well. But I was wondering, out of the 13 episodes, do you feel like there's a story that you wish you could have elaborated on and like almost make into a feature film?
Yes. That's
just
so
like tied it off as like a ribbon.
That's so funny you say that. I look at them all like feature films, but there's an episode called Heathridge Manor, which was the third one I directed about a brother and sister in a Gothic mansion. That the writer and I, Sharon Lee Watson, who's a genius, were like, we should have made this a 90-minute feature. But I'd like to expand them all too. Also the puppet one with Brad Dourif, the marionettes.
We're going to do, we got two more. We're going to go in a second. But I was just thinking, like, of all these questions, something that keeps coming up, how long the show's been on, how long you've done it. You weren't even born when it started. and you're breathing rare air here in that how many actors get to spend 14 seasons, X amount of years with a single character? You know, is that... One, I imagine it's like a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing to still be there, but how do you... Are you finding new things about Spencer?
Oh, yeah.
Are you still discovering things?
Yeah, it's always felt like a blessing for sure in terms of like... To me, like the way... It's funny, the way that I learned acting is kind of weird too, where it's not like... this sounds so... I don't know, I'm bad at talking about acting. Every moment is just interesting to me because it's like... him. So it's never felt repetitive, and maybe that's a triumph, that's a compliment to the writers, but I feel very lucky to get to like, it's almost like you go from playing, because I love doing movies as well, where you're working for like a month and you make a 90-minute thing. Yeah, 300 episodes, it's almost like the character is in a weird way become like, I hate to say this word, but like a folk, like Paul Bunyan. It's less like a guy in a movie and more like this thing that people have grown up with. So I feel this innate responsibility to like never to keep the character, you know, a ray of optimism. I would never want him to be like, I don't know, I just want to make people happy. That's my answer.
Yeah, I'll wait. I think you make a lot of people very happy, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, no way. We got two more. Next one's coming up. It's going to be right here. Come on down.
Hi. So I was just wondering, what was your favorite part about directing an episode that's specifically airing on Halloween?
So it's funny, I've never directed the Halloween episode of the show, but everyone always is like, well, every episode you do, even if it airs in March, is the Halloween episode. So it's funny that this year it actually worked out. And I saw like a listing yesterday about like Halloween programming, and I made like, to me, I don't believe in awards. I think awards are like, I don't know, the biggest award a performer can do is getting to entertain. But the next best thing for me, this is the equivalent of winning an Oscar, is below the Charlie Brown pumpkin was like Criminal Minds, directed by Matthew Gray Gubler on Halloween. I was like, oh my gosh, this is all I've ever won. So it's an incredible honor.
That's a great question. Thank you. All right, we got time for one more question. It's going to come from right here.
I'm going to think to word this the best way possible. I feel... I'm nervous, sorry.
I am too.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So every time I feel like I watch an episode you direct, it's like a horror movie.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Do you have a certain horror movie director that inspires you that way? Because for me, it was Wes Craven to get into directing. Like, he inspires everything I do.
Yeah. I love it. I love horror movies, and I love spooky movies, and I mean... Things that have inspired me are, of course, The Shining and Stanley Kubrick, Night of the Living Dead. In 1968, a very interesting thing happened in that modern horror... Well, real quick. Modern horror was born in 1968 to me when Roman Polanski made Rosemary's Baby, which represented like high-grade horror, and... what am I forgetting? Night of the Living Dead. George Romero made Night of the Living Dead on a shoestring budget, which sort of created that visceral handheld terror and it split off. And I think we can chart all horror to those two films that we see today. I mean, I'm also sorry. I'm trying to wrap it up because I'm not looking past The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or Psycho or any of these things. But long story short, I love every horror director. And I love every director. And my favorite thing is when like a guy like Kubrick ventures into the horror world, or likewise when someone like David Lynch or Wes Craven ventures into like the straight story or like romantic comedies. I love anybody bending genres, and I hope, yeah. Thank you.
Guys,
That's a weird answer.
No, everything was so perfect. Thanks. I wouldn't have changed a single second of this experience, man. You are amazing as a creative person, as an artist, as an individual. It's so lovely to have you.
Likewise about you. Thank you. This was probably the best interview of my life. I'm not kidding. Thank you. Thank you for making that. Thank you.
I'm gonna hug you. Guys, October 31st, your episode is airing. Of course, you know that, and keep an eye out for more wonderful episodes of the show. Pre-order the book if you haven't already. You can get it on Amazon. Can you say when it's coming? Do we know when it's coming?
April 2nd
April
is
2nd.
when it arrives.
There we are.
Yeah.
There we are. April 2nd. So
or if you mug me, it's right here. Please don't mug me.
I would love for you guys to join me in an uproarious amount of applause in thanking Mr. Matthew Gray Gubler.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.